Yes, what's going on, people? Welcome back to Real Red Stock fan channel that represents the realist. This is your breaking news show. On today's agenda, we're going to be discussing Paul Mitchell, imminent to Manchester United. More and more reports coming out about that. A billionaire has bought a stake in Manchester United. Does that mean anything? We'll get into the detail on that one. Man United in form, what does that mean for the future when we come back from the international break? And is more updates on Jadon Sancho's future in regards to going to Juventus. So we'll touch on that as well. So make sure you're getting involved in the comment section. As always, I can see Neil in the chat. I can see Charlie in the chat. I can see Jeff in the chat as well. So keep getting your comments in and we'll come to your questions, etc. as we go through the topics on the table. Shreyas, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, doing fairly well. Pretty excited for this show.
Absolutely, as always. So we'll dive straight into it. Paul Mitchell's the first topic because that is the thumbnail and the title. More and more kind of random, sporadic accounts on Twitter reporting Paul Mitchell to United is hot. Paul Mitchell is right at the top of Man United's list to become their new sporting director. Like, just basically, it's getting more and more concrete and it's coming to the surface. But we have known about this for a while. The people in the chat have known about this for a while. How do you feel about this appointment as soon as it gets made within, probably expecting some point this week, towards the back end of this week? And what are the first things that you're adjusting when you come into Manchester United?
I think there are two aspects to it. One, definitely we needed some direction in, when it came to the scouting department and what players to go for, who to hunt for, take some, burden of the managers back as well as to, before every single transfer window approaches, like 2 months before it, the manager has to look into what players to go for rather than, redefining his style of play or going into it. Maybe, it has to do with, how we started off the season as well. So having someone like Paul Mitchell in, who has a lot of expertise in this area, has done this job, in quite a number of clubs as well. So definitely it brings a lot more direction. It brings a lot more structure, and maybe we can see it in the way of smarter spending by United. But on the other hand, the second aspect to it is that whenever you come into a club like Man United, I don't think from the perspective of the fans or from the manager or I wouldn't say the board that much, but from the media, there is a lot of pressure because if you expect someone like Paul Mitchell to come in, you would see us making a lot of signings, but the reason would be we'll be going into players who would be young, like 20s, in their 20s, 21, 22, 23, and more or less we might not have heard about them that much. They would be around the price range of 20 million, 25 million, 30 million, 35 million. So they could be around that price range. So the media could come out and attack that United have not gone out and signed a player for like how we signed Højlund, how we signed Mount, 67 million, 74 million, these sort of amounts. So I would say that in a way it could help United in the longer run, but only if they are able to, resist these shots fired by the media and the pundits. Because whenever they see a club making moves like this, like Brighton have done this all the time. They've gone out for players, they signed them for 10 million, 12 million, 7 million, 3 million, and now they turned out to be superstars in their team. I think United can go in the similar direction, but they just need to keep on working towards a similar structure. Like if you're going for these sort of profile or these sort of players, just stick to them. Don't go for, the obvious 60 or 70 million signings just because the media is targeting United. That's the only thing I have. If he's able to adjust to that atmosphere at United, because we do carry a big target on our backs, no matter how we are playing or no matter what kind of season we are in, in the middle of, it will still happen. So if he is able to resist it, I think he can do a perfect job, alongside Erik ten Hag, who for the first time I would say, at least we still know how he wants to, structure this team. It's not like under Oli, it was, we just used to get players out of the blue and then we used to just put them in and, just hope for them to work out. Now under
the obvious ones, wasn't it?
Exactly. And under Erik ten Hag, it's different. Like if you go in for a midfielder under Erik ten Hag, you know what sort of profile he would want. He would want a high energy, he would want a press resistant and a natural passer on the ball. That's the three kind of players that he would want. And if you're going for a certain profile in the midfield as well, like as a 6, he would want someone who can occupy the area in that defensive line quite well, who can merge in with the fullbacks quite well, who has the awareness to, of when to progress forward, when to stay back, and actually be able to solidify his presence, not go invisible throughout the full 90. So you know what kind of players you want, and if you've got someone like Paul Mitchell in, he will go out and hunt for these sort of gems that are still present in the market, but United just don't go for them.
Yeah, and I think what's important is obviously the manager's views align with the views of the sporting director that comes in, because if they don't and they have disagreements, then ultimately the sporting director will have control in terms of who comes in, recruitment, etc. And it's like Neil says there, I can't see it working because the Glazers will still have the final say. And I think the finer details of that need to be discussed, because if Joel Glazer is still ultimately signing off on things, then how much control will Paul Mitchell actually have? Because if he brings him a player, found this kid in Netherlands, 20, well, hopefully.
Yeah, I think it just depends on the fact if there is no control of the Glazers over the sporting decisions. Like if it is just on, the people who are going to be coming in, then it works out. Yeah.
Because they just sit back and they'll be like, right, well, if you improve that sporting department, effectively, we're going to make money regardless, because when you're winning on the pitch, the fans are happy, everyone else is happy around the club, and we profit a lot more. We get into Champions League, etc. So you can see why they've done it. But I'm very skeptical of how much control they'll actually get. But at the same time, I don't think Sir Jim Ratcliffe's a stupid man. I don't think he's going to be throwing this money in with
from whatever I've heard. And from whatever I've heard and I've read, I have seen that the only way Sir Jim Ratcliffe is going to be taking over United is when he'll have the final say and he'll have full autonomous control over the sporting decisions of the club. That's the only way that he'll actually be buying the club. Otherwise, he would have left it. So, if that is true, from what I've seen and heard, that is true. And if that does happen, then it does mean we'll be seeing a very different stance of Manchester United in the transfer windows, because we've seen it throughout so many seasons. Take this season, for example. McAllister went to Liverpool and it was for a sum of 34 million. United inquired about McAllister in the January transfer window, the previous transfer window before this season, and Brighton quoted a figure of 80 million. So you can just see the gap between the two figures. 80 million and 34 million is a big gap. So maybe, with this new structure coming in, with a competent board of directors coming in, and with a competent structure in, the transfer negotiations as well. I won't say that, we'll be getting cheap bargains at, like with a flick of a finger, but I'm at least saying that the gap can be reduced by 30 or 50 million. Like, even if we overpay, at least we are just overpaying by 5 or 6 million, so it wouldn't hurt that much. I won't want an Antony situation where we're playing 60 million over the amount that we should have originally paid for him.
That's what we were saying about Osimhen yesterday, because we got linked in his Premier League. It's like 140 million. You're going into a bidding war with Chelsea as well. It's just never going to end up well when United and Chelsea are in a bidding war. It'll end up well for Napoli. I'm sure they'll be fucking absolutely delighted with it. But for us, in terms of spending money and stuff, I don't think it's going to work out. Are you still with us, Shreyas?
One sec, my camera just turned off for a minute.
Yeah, it's all right. I was just thinking you either posed really solidly there, or the camera's just completely crashed. I have no idea. But yeah, in regards to Paul Mitchell, I think with the contacts that he has in football, you look at Leipzig, you look at his work at Tottenham, you look at his work at Southampton, even MK Dons, he brought through players like Alan Smith and Dele Alli and these kind of guys. Like, he's recruited some of the best talents in Europe. Son Heung-min, who's regarded probably as the greatest Asian player of all time. He brought him in for £7 million at Tottenham. So I trust in his instincts and his development. I just hope his views align with Erik ten Hag, but I suppose that's yet to be seen. Speaking about money and investment and people taking over, we have had a billionaire today, Shreyas. I'm not sure if you've seen the news coming out from Bloomberg. So the billionaire Leon Cooperman has taken a late stake in Manchester United. Cooperman reported a position of just under 1 million shares, currently valued at $16.8 million, according to a recent filing. So that's coming out from Bloomberg. Now, I did a bit of a background check on this guy because I was like, he just looked like a B-Tech Glazers from the picture that I saw. So I did a bit of diving and I had a look. So Leon Cooperman is an American billionaire investor and hedge fund manager. He is the chairman and CEO of Omega Advisors, a New York-based investment advisory firm managing over $3.3 billion in assets under management, the majority consisting of his personal wealth. Now, this happens all the time, Trey, as it's not that significant in terms of the Ratcliffe bid or whatever, but it just got me thinking, if you was a billionaire and you used to invest in a team right now, who would you choose and why? And you don't get any obvious ones. So you can't pick like, Man City, because
of course
it's in terms of investment, it's not going to be one of them, is it? Do you know what I mean? So 300 was there. And again, that's a question for the chat. If you're going to invest in a team right now, you look like some of that kind of upwards trajectory. You're going to make money off it, and the players that they have there, you can, you feel like.
I think I have a couple. I think Bayer Leverkusen will be one. I think they're a top side. Xabi Alonso has been doing an incredible job there. I think genuinely he's been doing an incredible job at that club.
Yeah.
And if they genuinely get the amount of funding Bayern does or RB Leipzig does, they can be, a club that can cement itself in that top 2 position, according to me. Except that Girona has been flying this season.
Crazy, isn't it? Aren't they top? Girona.
Yeah, I don't know. They've got this Saigenkov, they've got Savio, they've got Dobvik. They've been doing an incredible job as well. Except that Real Sociedad is one club that I've been a fan of for quite some time. They're a club that have been around, top 4, 5th, 6th, top 4, 5th, 6th, consistent club.
Do that heavy investment to go
and
up one.
Personally, I think if you're going to invest in a club, I think you can get more success if you invest in the Bundesliga or La Liga, because when it comes to La Liga, you're only going to be competing with 3 clubs. If you're going to be investing in Bundesliga, you're only going to be competing with 1 club, Bayern Munich. And I still believe that if you go into La Liga, except Madrid and Barcelona, if a team is able to spend funds, if they do have them in a cautious manner, they can easily challenge. Like I still, if Brighton were in La Liga, they would easily finish top 4 every single season without a shadow of a doubt. So I think Leverkusen could be one, Sociedad could be one. Except I wouldn't fund any team in the Premier League. United could desperately need some.
No, yeah. That seems like they're saying, I know, mate.
Yeah.
I tried.
But yeah, of course, outside of England, Leverkusen will be my top choice. Like, genuinely my top choice. I think I've been hearing a lot of rumors as well that next season Xabi Alonso is going to be moving to Madrid to replace Ancelotti. So it's going to be one heck of a...
Xabi Alonso and De Zerbi, 2 managers that will probably ultimately move on to a bigger team. And I really like the work that Xabi Alonso's doing there. They're playing really nice football. They brought in players on like a free, like a Grimaldo.
Granit Xhaka, they got in Xhaka, they've got in Grimaldo. They've got this Boniface guy who's been playing up top. He's been ridiculous. Hoffman.
Wirtz as well, top player. Yeah.
They've got a good, really a very solid thing. The Palacios, I think, plays for them as well in midfield. So they've got a solid side.
We've got a couple of ones. UTFR said OGC Nice. That's about maybe he might be selling soon. Who knows? Who knows? Daniel Hutchinson says, why won't Sir Jim bring in the best in class as United fans spent 1.4 billion, 25%? Well, the best in class would be Paul Mitchell, right? And would be Jean-Claude. I keep wanting to say Van Damme. Jean-Claude Blanc. Loads of people keep doing it. Jean-Claude Blanc, his name is, the CEO. But, by the way, like 2 things, because it's just reminding me now. One, there's a video on Paul Mitchell, a full video, 10 minutes, about his background, where he's worked, his whole background. Make sure you go check that out. Very good video. And there's another video dropping when the news gets announced about Sir Jim Ratcliffe being official, the 25%, the Ineos 10-step plan. That'll be dropping as soon as that gets announced. So keep an eye out for that and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss things. That's also a very good video, if I do say so myself.
Which club would you fund? Which club would you go for?
I would go for... I've always liked Dortmund, admired Dortmund from afar. I look at the fan base that they've got. I look at the stadium that they've got, the potential, the players that they bring through. I think that would be a good investment. Maybe it's a bit of an obvious one, but I've always admired Dortmund from afar. If I'm going elsewhere, if I look to like the Italian league, I like Napoli.
Yeah.
I've always, like, said, again, strong fan base. Nice stadium, good players, good recruitment and stuff. So I don't know, but then sometimes you want to challenge in it. You want to look at one that's maybe a little bit down the has a lot of potential, but just has never found that right kind of suit us. So, but yeah, they're the 2 that.
I just saw this as well. Apparently, Girona are actually, they are being owned by the City Group. So it makes
Man City's owners.
Yeah.
Obviously, of course they are.
Makes more sense now why they're top.
Whatever they touch turns to fucking gold, and whatever the Glazers touch turns to absolute shite. And that's why we're going to talk about Manchester United right now, Shreyas. Well, it's time to reflect a little bit. Obviously, it's the international break now, so there's no football until we play Everton. I think it is in 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're 2 points off where we was last season, funnily enough. We've
Yeah.
got 4 out of 5 wins in the Premier League, the most informed team in the league. Onana is second in the clean sheets table, and we're 7 points off Man City. But obviously, as fans, we're watching a football, and it's fucking diabolical. That doesn't take no cracks for us. What are your thoughts on the season so far? And again, that's a question for you guys in the chat. How are you feeling about it? Because everything I've just read out there doesn't align with what we're seeing on the pitch at all, does it?
It's been really horrible the way we started this season. And the fact that we're still 6th. And I still remember last season, I think around the same time, we were in the same position as well. Like we were around the 6th position mark. And in a difference, I think we played quite a lot of difficult teams as well within this 12 play gap. We come up against Tottenham, we come up against Arsenal, we come up against City as well. So there are 3 tough games that we have had. We've come up against Brighton as well, which I'll actually classify as a tough game for us. So,
well, quick start for you. Quick start. The highest placed team we've beat is Brentford, and that was in the dying minutes of the game with Scott McTominay 2-2, and they're 11th.
And I think that is the biggest reason why I still don't understand why people, especially the media, are actually classifying United as a club that is in the danger zone. Like I would say we would be in a danger zone if we are like in 9th or 10th. For a club that has had the amount of injuries that we've had, especially to our biggest players like Lisandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, Kobe Mainoo, Casemiro, who's whether he doesn't play to the level that is expected of him, but his absence can be felt in this team a lot. So judging of that, we are still 6th. If we go on a good run, after this international break, we can easily be in the top 4. It is still anyone's game. It is all rectifiable. It is still not out of the realm of possibility that we cannot qualify for the Champions League as well.
I feel like there's a block coming. But
yeah, but Ten Hag needs to revisit the kind of plan that he's laid out for this season. I think he's got a good chunk of time to actually evaluate what has been going wrong, because I don't think Ten Hag is a stubborn manager. Like after last season, judging of what he did throughout the course of last season.
You mean tactically?
Yeah. I don't see him as someone like Pep or Mourinho. If they go with a system throughout the game, they stick with it whether they're losing or winning. They don't change up about with it. Ten Hag is not that sort of a person. I've seen him throughout the course of last season. He changed his tactics 3 times. At the start, when Casemiro was suspended, he changed his system once up again. And at the remainder of last season, we saw a different system too. So I think if he's seeing that something is genuinely not working, like not being playing, and I still get it that some of the games, VAR has absolutely been terrible and has cost us a lot of points this season, but it is a part of the game right now, and we need to treat it normally. Like I would just expect a VAR decision every single game now. So I think Ten Hag definitely needs to revisit how he wants us to play this season with the kind of players that he's got at his disposal, because I know that Luke Shaw won't be back anytime soon either. I don't know that Lisandro... Eriksen is out. Martinez is out. Still no Højlund's out. So your main striker, the only person who was probably in that front 3 was actually being consistent with his play, is out right now. So Ten Hag really needs to, revisit his system. And I would genuinely not mind if he goes back to the way we played last season. Have Amrabat been playing in that Casemiro position. Have Mount been playing in that Eriksen position. Bruno's still there, and I still classify Bruno as one of the best midfielders in Europe. He just needs to, make sure that this team is able to come around and play its best football. Right now, we are not doing that. We have got a lot of underperformers in this team. The leaders of this team are not performing, especially Marcus Rashford. Like, there have been certain chances which I would expect, players like Pelistri or Garnacho to actually finish off, but Rashford has not been taking them, which is a big worry sign for me. And
it's stale in it.
Yeah, and I know that he's got the potential, and when with Rashford, it's actually, it's just a click. When he starts getting things right, he just starts to get things right over the, game after game after game after game.
Last season, then after the World Cup, waiting, and then
exactly.
Came back.
This season, it's just not been happening. And I think if Rashford would have started this season fresh, he would have started this season bright. I think we would have been in a much better position.
Like Harry does for large parts of that season. I think a lot of people forget that, innit?
Yeah, and I think the second thing is Ten Hag really needs to revisit what wingers to pick during these fixtures. Anthony cannot start anymore for me. I think
I didn't mind Rashford and Garnacho. I mean, Rashford's a little bit quiet at the moment, but in comparison to Anthony, I did slightly prefer that. The issue is, though, what I pick out is what you said. The midfield, I agree. I'd like to revert to how we was playing last season. It makes it hard because we're missing certain individual personnel. And the midfield that we had, Casemiro, Eriksen, and Bruno, had that synergy where they played together that much. You could tell that they'd been playing a long time together. Like it matched what you saw on the pitch. Whereas when you bring Mount in alongside, he's not the same footballing brain as what Christian Eriksen is. So when you put him next to Amrabat, it's slightly more, we can't retain possession as much, especially when we have Bruno next to him as well. So I don't know how they're going to manage that midfield, who they bring in alongside Amrabat. Because even Amrabat himself, I'm looking at now from a defensive perspective, he hasn't lived up to what I thought he would. I mean, I did a video on him.
He's been average. He's been average.
He's been pretty average, hasn't
he? Yeah, he has been. And personally, but I would still say I would rather go with a midfield of Amrabat, Mount, and Bruno, or Amrabat, Eriksen, or Bruno, rather than putting McTominay in there. Like, if you need to use McTominay, put him in for the last 30, put him in for the last 25. At least for the major chunk of the game, you can still have a better grip over the midfield, because right now, the way we are playing, we just sort of leave our midfield for dead for the entire 90 in the hope that McTominay is able to come up with the goods, up top. But when that doesn't happen and we don't get the goal, we are, playing on the back foot for the entire 90 and just waiting for something to happen. And you cannot go into these sort of games against teams like Liverpool, against teams even like Chelsea. Like Chelsea have turned around this season at quite the best time that they could. They've got a good result against Tottenham. They got a very decent result against City. So they're on a good momentum. And I expect United to be moving in the similar direction. But I think Kobe Mainoo will be back. So maybe as midfield of Mainoo, Amrabat, and Bruno. Or if I'm being honest, give Mount some minutes, because Mount looked really bright the next time Nick's gone for some reason. But I'm still here. So yeah, I think Mount is someone who really needs to come into this team. Like I think he's looked bright in his cameos. He's someone who has been a bright spark in midfield. He's been used a lot as a super sub, but I think he's someone who could be relied on. Like during the start of the season, he got a couple of starts, then he got injured, so he couldn't get it. But I still don't see anyone stepping up in that midfield who warrants a start. At least, you need to change things around to keep up that competition for places. So I think perhaps I really hope that after this international break, things change. Ten Hag changes his system. I think Ten Hag can change his system, and when I look into this team, I still see that this team can do a lot this season. Like, it's not a situation where I would say that, you can write off this season altogether. I think there is still a lot for this squad to achieve. You still got a game against Galatasaray. You still got a game against Bayern Munich, and,
away, though. Yeah. The Galatasaray game away, Everton away, and who's the other game that's away as well? We've got 3 games when we get back.
We've got, one second, I'll just check, one sec.
I can't remember. Everton.
You won't like it.
Yeah.
Newcastle.
Go on. Newcastle, that was it. And I hate going to City Park. That game there last season was fucking horrendous. So yeah, tough run of fixtures.
Tough run of fixtures, yeah. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to read out some stats because there's fucking loads of them. There's 21 people in the chat. Please do leave a like on the video for us if you're enjoying the show so far. We're going to touch on Jadon Sancho, and we've also got something planned towards the end as well. Similar to yesterday, that was kind of quick fire, but a lot of people liked it. So we'll dive into that shortly. Dino Lewis is saying if we could get rid of 2 in January window and bring in 2 or 3, who would you sell and buy? So quick fire.
Okay.
2 to sell.
2 to sell. I would sell Jadon Sancho, and I would sell McTominay, and I would bring in, if I could, Sancho swap deal for Chiesa, and in midfield, I would. If it is possible, then I wouldn't mind bringing in someone like a Mikel Merino from Sociedad.
Okay. I like that. Midfielder.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I would I'd sell Martial, bringing in an experienced striker like a Taremi, maybe from Porto, something like that.
Good shout.
And I would equally sell Sancho to Thingy and bring in. I don't know. I want to find someone like it's impossible to just get an identical replica. But if Doku has a twin, find him out there somewhere in the world and fucking bring him in because I'm a massive fan of him.
The dream would be Kvaratskhelia. The dream would be him.
Yeah, I can even say his name now. So if you want to,
of course.
United,
now that Nick can say his name, he'll move to Liverpool.
Yeah, sign him. So I'll get him on the back of my shirt. It must cost about 30 quid per letter. But Neil the Scroll says, get rid of Anthony Sancho by no clue. I don't know what that says. It's crazy this year. Having a lot of matches and World Cup and a stupid summer tour has meant our season has been up and down.
Yeah.
I think that's had a huge effect. UTFR says, Mount false 9. I don't know. I don't want to be honest with you, I'm scarred. We were speaking about this yesterday as well. I'm scarred from when we saw Bruno and Pogba plays a false 9 or Bruno plays a false 9 in games. Like, I
just think that a player who's not been getting enough minutes, why put him in a position where he is originally not been playing in? Like, even if you have to put him on, I would just slot him in midfield.
Exactly.
What worse can you do than McTominay?
Yeah. Put McTominay false 9 if you're going to do it. Yeah. I don't know. At least he's scoring. Jari Melman says, I don't see a future for Amrabat at United. We need better. I think he's been... Yeah,
he's been okay. He's been all right. He's not been great. He's not been bad. But I think one thing is he's not got a decent run of games.
Kirk Howcroft has said Mount couldn't hold up a bag of Haribos. David Harrington says Amrabat's been crap so far. I'd never watched much of him before we signed him, so I wasn't excited we were getting him. But he hasn't lived up to what fans were making him out to be before we got him. I am one of them fans because the research I did on him, I watched him for Morocco quite a lot. I watched him for Fiorentina quite a lot. He looked like a solid player who could come in, had the right mentality.
He was the most sought after midfielder in this window. Like every single club wanted him. Barcelona wanted him. Saudi wanted him. Liverpool wanted him.
At the same time as well, the guy's come in, he's played left back for like 3 games, and then he's had different midfield partners.
I think he's just got 2 starts. After that, he's just been a super sub. So you can just make it out.
He's had no settling in period whatsoever. It's just thrown right into the deep end, and he's kind of like still trying to find his feet a little bit. UTFR says Nick's 56k modem is burnt out. I don't know what's going on with Discord today.
Been laggy. It's been very laggy today, Discord.
Yeah. For whatever reason, just trying to be a bit of a bastard. There's loads of comments. I'm going to read out.
Go ahead.
United are that bad. Full stop. Watch them. David Harrington saying, what is Amrabat supposed to be doing? He doesn't cut out playing. He doesn't tackle anyone. He doesn't control the game. His passing has been crap. What is his game meant to be? Well, from what I saw at Fiorentina, they're a little bit more open and expansive in possession, and he was good on the ball. You saw in the first game for United, in the Carabao Cup, I think it was, the switches of play when he's on it, just the composure at times was really good. And then equally for Morocco, they played quite a stern system, which is the reason why they got so far in the World Cup, and he was defensive. There was a video of him running back, tackling Mbappe. Like, he was solid for them. But maybe it's a systematic thing. Maybe it's,
the thing is, he's one person who likes to go aerial a lot. The second thing is, at Fiorentina, he had players like Bonaventura. One player, he is an Argentinian right winger, Gonzalez there. So those players are very quick when it comes to controlling the ball of the air, and they just cut in and they go for goal. And the second thing is, at Fiorentina, the midfielders that he was playing alongside it, they were absolutely amazing when it came to ball retention. So what's Amrabat's job used to be was to do most of the dirty work, where he had to get just bite the ball back and just give the ball away. The thing is, at United, people are expecting him to drive the ball forward. That's not his job. He's not one of your midfielders who can drive the ball forward, scan the area for a pass, and then just release a through ball. He cannot do that job. What he can do is solidify the back line, win ball back, make ball recoveries, have the energy to track back, and fill in the reintegrate the defensive line when you're in the counter attack. He can do their job really well. But if you're expecting him to going forward, getting assists from the midfield, that's not his job. Like, you can actually not be expecting that from him.
The weird thing is, when we brought him in, even though he missed a couple of games because we didn't bring him into the end of the window, we were offering like 1 million for a loan fee and just weird shit. We brought him in because the midfielder Mount, Bruno, and Casemiro didn't really work. So everyone thought it'd be Amrabat. We'll bring Casemiro and Amrabat together, more solidified, much solid, maybe in the big games, let's say against your Man Cities, etc., and then you play Bruno alongside him. But whatever combination we've tried playing this season, hasn't worked. And I think we've only seen Casemiro and Amrabat together once, and that was in the Brentford game, maybe the second half.
And then Casemiro got subbed off for Eriksen.
Yeah, exactly. So we're yet to fully see a partnership form in that midfield at all. I think that's been the biggest issue, to be honest. Very quickly, I want to touch on Jadon Sancho because I meant to speak about that. Yeah. We've not even mentioned it yet. More and more links Trey has to Juventus, but Juventus only want to loan and pay some of his wages, as always with every fucking United player we want to sell. They don't want to pay the full wages.
Of course not.
I know he's on quite a lot, to be fair. But again, I was speaking to Dan and Sam about this yesterday. How are you feeling about the Sancho situation? How do you see it developing? Do you think he'll end up going somewhere like in Europe, or do you think it's destined for Saudi?
I think he's destined for Saudi because of the wages. Because I don't see him as a sort of player who would be willing to take a wage cut. I don't see him as that sort of a player. If he would have been willing to take a wage cut, you wouldn't be seeing loan deals, or you wouldn't be seeing situations where United have to pay the fee. If that wasn't a situation, any club would have wanted Sancho to come in and be a part of their squad, because you don't have to pay like 300 or 350,000 pounds per week. But because of those wages, even he's getting a steady paycheck from United, so he wouldn't want to leave anyway. And I don't think that any club right now, especially any top side, like take into example any top team in the Bundesliga, anyone in the Prem, anyone in Liga 1, anyone in La Liga, who would want Jadon Sancho as a winger, play him constantly week in and week out on 350,000 per week right now? No one would. No club would want a player like Jadon Sancho right now, because one thing again is he's tarnished his image a lot because of the way that he's come out. Which club would want to play who comes out against their manager in this way? No club would want that. No club would want to bring in that sort of a drama. So if he's actually expecting Juventus could come in for me and take me off, United won't do that. I still know that United wouldn't make... One thing that I know about the Glazers is they wouldn't go into a deal where they are on in the losing end. Especially in this way, they would want to save as much money as they could. And right now, if they're seeing that Jadon Sancho is a player, even if we offload him, we need to give like half or 3/4 of the wages, they would say we would just rather keep him and just stick him on the bench. It doesn't really matter, rather than letting him go away to Juventus. So there are two aspects to it. Saudi comes in because Saudi are actually interested in Jadon Sancho, and that's the only way that he can get out of the club. Second situation is Sancho just sticks it out for the season at the club, and then next summer window he goes. That, I think the most realistic one is Saudi, because except that I don't see any top club wanting Sancho. I don't see any top club wanting Sancho.
It's crazy the ability United have to bring in talented players, super talented players, and just ruin them. I'm not saying it's purely our fault, but if you look at our track record and bringing in really, really talented players and just not flourishing and being depleted.
It's the selection as well. It has to go down on the selection of the players as well, because I remember when we did sign Jadon Sancho, I think you might have remembered it as well. There were 3 Bundesliga wingers mentioned in that period of time. I think there was Leon Bailey mentioned, and there was Jadon Sancho, and there was Moussa Diaby mentioned as well. 3 wingers were mentioned. And we went in for Sancho. Diaby moved this season to Villa, and he's been killing it. I think it really does come down to selection, because I think, imagine Diaby at United on that right hand side.
But then, you know what, Shreyas? I feel like Diaby's good because he went to Villa. Like, when we bring players into United, they don't seem to flourish. I don't know what it is. They just seem to I don't know if it's the pressure. I don't know.
Maybe it's a mental block. Maybe it's a mental block after United.
James, when I was speaking to James from Buttiers, and when we had him on the other day, he made a very good point. He was like, at Brighton, they come in, there's no way near the amount of pressure in comparison to Manchester United. They have time to let these players develop in the team. When you come in at Man United, it's instant results, quick. So we don't have time. We need him to hit the ground running straight away. And that's why we're quite lucky in regards to Højlund. I know he's not scored a Premier League goal yet, but he seems like he has that mantle, he has the right mentality, he has the right ability. With a lot of players we brought in, Antony, for the price tag, 85 million
He's been protected. Antony's been protected a lot throughout the course of his first season. Honest. Yeah, and he has been. I think Antony has been protected a lot during the course of his first season. This season he has to produce results, but he hasn't been anywhere near to the level of player, like even a half decent player. He hasn't been performing that way. With Sancho, I would still say when he came in first season, he was protected a lot. Even during the course of the second season, he went on a break. He came back. There was a very, very good support and warm support from the United fan base towards Sancho that, he's came back in against Leeds. He got the goal. It was actually a very positive environment for him, and he was slotted in as a 10 at Leicester, got a goal again. It was good. And I think with the sort of manager,
little moments,
yeah,
right?
yeah, it was there, but
yeah,
and I think the manager supported him quite well, during his phase as well. But I don't think that he's come out of it in a positive way, especially the way he has conducted himself. With certain players, I would say, like with Pogba, I would say that it was a horrific situation to have. Like even when he came in, there was all the price tag. If he wasn't performing well, there was a lot of pressure on Pogba when he came in, and even when he left, it wasn't really a good environment for him. Højlund, yeah. Big price tag.
Huge expectation, comes to the club. You're like, wow, that's the worst investment we've ever fucking made.
And with Højlund, I would still say he's been shutting down his, the media quite well, because even if they come out and say something, he's the top scorer in the Champions League right now. So you cannot really come out and say anything about Højlund, but
in this United team, in this shit United team,
exactly my point. But yes, with Amrabat, it's been immense. I've seen with Amrabat, it's been immense, and even more than Amrabat, with Mason Mount, before even he played a game, it was
he was scapegoat straight away. But there's a lot. I think in general, there's not a lot of people performing at Man United at the moment. I think there's good reason for this. There's numerous reasons why they're not. They need a settled environment. I think, like I said, you bring any player to this. If you would have brought Doku, I don't think he'd be doing as well as he's doing at Man City. Because you go in Man City, it's like the pressure's there. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but it's a more stable environment to play in.
You're surrounded by consistent elite players who have just literally won a treble. So it's a completely different situation.
And I think for a player like Doku, like if you come in, even if you're playing like 30 to 40 minutes, if you're coming up against the opposition, you wouldn't be the player that they would be worrying about. They would be worrying about Haaland, Foden, Rodri, De Bruyne.
They're not worried about Rashford, who scored 2 goals in 6 months. Like, they're not
exactly
worried about
my point.
That at all.
So if you come in at United, even if you're a semi-half decent player or a very young player, any team would be looking to attack you because they know that you will be under pressure. It's not the same against, even in Liverpool. It's not the same in Chelsea. It's not the same in Arsenal or even at City. They've got a good setup for young players to come in and establish themselves right now. United, even if you're an experienced player, I would still say, if you're not a prime Ronaldo coming in, it's going to be very hard for you to establish a career at United right now.
I think we've got a few interesting transfer windows coming up anyway. Let's just leave it at that.
Do you really think we get anyone? We get anyone this window? No loans or anything, like real transfers?
Genuinely, this is what I think what happens if I'm combining in January the summer, but mainly January. I think Sancho goes. I think Varane goes. I think we're bringing it to Debo, and we'll probably loan an attacker from somewhere. That's what I think we do. But the Tadibo and Nice link with 30.
It can happen. It can it can happen. Now it can.
Will want to make an impact. It's a signing that everybody's a fan of.
Actually, one more player that I've quite been a lot. There has been a lot of interest about him, and he's at Nice. His name is Khephrem Thuram. You might have heard about him.
Midfielder. Yeah.
Maybe something can happen. Yeah. Maybe.
But then the fans at Nice are going to be like, "Are you taking the fucking piss? You just took the best centre back and you just took our best midfielder as well." It's like, sorry, mate, United's mine now. So,
really need they need them more than you do. You're top of the league.
Yeah, don't worry about it. You'll win the league. Fucking PSG have been shit this season. So, right, I'm gonna read out some comments and then we'll get into the last thing. And I need people to get involved with that. So make sure you stay in the chat.
Sure.
And we'll go through it. There's so many comments. Kirk says, I can't wait for Martinez to get back. Same goes for Casemiro and Luke Shaw because what we know gets battered off any top 6 side. Bang on analysis of Amrabat. Thank you very much for that, UTFR. I'd let Sancho rot the little... Wow, I'm not reading that out. Dino Lewis, I'll let Casemiro and Eriksen go in the summer as well. Wow, very strong.
That's hard.
I don't mind Eriksen. I don't mind Eriksen coming in as a bit part player. I just don't think he should be consistently starting every game.
Yeah, and I wouldn't let go of Casemiro this window. Maybe next season.
No.
Maybe next season I would be thinking that maybe you let go of Casemiro. But this season I think it will cost United a lot more of actually letting go of someone like Casemiro.
Do you see what James said about him though? He was surprised. We asked him. He was like, he thinks they're going to let Casemiro go in the summer. I was like,
yeah.
What? I know. Yeah. I expect Varane, Sancho, Martial, these guys, but Casemiro. I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
I think Ratcliffe's going to cut down on the big wages. If you think you get rid of Sancho, Varane, Casemiro, that's $1 million a week.
Top wages are gone.
Gone. Yeah. So maybe there's something in that. I don't know. Todibo and De Ligt would be a serious partnership. I wouldn't mind that at all.
No.
Neil saying if you want to watch football this week, United's women play City's women at Old Trafford on Sunday, kick-off at 4:30. Of course, Shah Sam is a Real Red Ultra member. He's an absolute legend who continues to support the channel and has watched us since very early days. So big up to yourself. If you want to become a member, £3 a month, exclusive content every single week, a badge next to your name, and a chance to feature on the show, then please do consider that. We're building the channel day by day, and the content's getting better and better. So yeah, to all you guys who already support us, like we said, we really, really appreciate it. And it helps us keep going. And then last couple, I'd like to see us sign Todibo, Vermeeren, and a striker in January. And apparently the women's team has sold over 40,000 tickets for Sunday's game, which is fucking amazing. So fair play.
Vermeeren is a very good shout. Vermeeren is a very good shout.
I have to be honest, I haven't watched.
I think he plays for Royal Antwerp. Could get him for 10 million, and there have been a lot of interest. So could be a good shout.
Yeah. Right then, the last thing we are going to do, what I want you to do, Shreyas, and again the people in the chat as well, rank Man United's top 5 players so far this season from 5 to 1. Okay? I know it's hard. I know we've been shit. I appreciate it. Maybe if we've got time, we'll do the Premier League, so it's a little bit easier. But from 5 to 1, who's been United's best players, you think, this season?
5 to 1.
Or you can go the other way if it's easier for you.
First is Højlund. I don't think that there is much competition there.
You think Højlund's been our best player this season so far?
Yeah, considering how we've been performing in the Champions League, I think he has been. Except that...
It's picking from a shit bunch, in it, to be fair. I know it's hard, but that's why I've done it. It'd be interesting to see what everyone else puts.
I really can't judge any of them basis of performances. Like, I genuinely cannot, because everyone has been absolutely terrible. But I think I would go Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka, I think he's been alright. He came in as well, looked quite bright. So Wan-Bissaka, I think, could be in there. Casemiro. The reason being,
Casemiro's in there.
On the basis of stats, because he's got the most goal involvements, even though he's been out. He's been out for like a couple of weeks now. I don't know how long, but he's been the player who's got the most goal contributions for us right now. So that's staggering. That's staggering to know, but that is the case.
Well, by that measure, someone else should be in there. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth.
McTominay, I know. Yeah.
Does he go in there in our top 5 players so far this season?
The thing is, McTominay has scored 3 and he has conceded 2 penalties. So
yeah,
it's very hard.
Yeah. Which were the penalties now? One was is it handball?
Sheffield.
Yeah, Sheffield. Was it handball? Sheffield.
Yeah.
And then what was the other one?
I think it was Copenhagen. Copenhagen.
Yeah. You're right. Was that another handball?
Yeah.
Yeah.
2 handballs from him.
Okay.
Eriksen.
Any defenders? You put Eriksen in there?
Yeah, I think Eriksen.
You going in?
Yeah, Eriksen.
What people in the chat? Give me a top 5. 5 to 1. Or if you just think we've all been shit, then don't put anything at all. That's fine.
Bruno has just not been at it at all, so I cannot put him in. Like, I genuinely cannot put Bruno in.
Dino has gone with Onana, Rasmus, Maguire, Evans, Scott. I'm not sure if that's 1 to 5 or if that's 5 to 1. I'm guessing it's 1 to 5.
Rasmus has to be there. I would put Onana.
That's an interesting one, isn't it? Because that table's kind of turned now, and it's the start of the season.
Like how he started, I think he's come out quite strong of it. Like from the slump that he started in, he's come out. He saved a penalty. He's been quite decent. I think against City as well. He was by far a best player against City. So I think Onana, Rasmus, Onana needs to be there. Rasmus needs to be there. Eriksen needs to be there because I think even apart from his defensive side of things, I think going forward, he's been our best player from the midfield.
Well, I've got 5 players here, but I don't know what order you don't. So Højlund,
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, Casemiro, Eriksen, Onana. They're the 5 players I've got.
Wan-Bissaka, Eriksen.
Casemiro, Onana.
Pick Eriksen out, I'll put Maguire in because he's been decent. He's been decent.
Interesting.
I think with Eriksen, the thing still is, I need to go in and evaluate him as, completely as a player. And even though he's been good going forward, he's been a reason why we considered a lot of goals this season as well. He's not been tracking his runners. He's just not been able to occupy the space. So I think Maguire needs to be in because, once again, someone who's like Onana, who's just completely turned his career around at United. Maguire has been really good.
Yeah, I agree. It's hard to disagree with that. I think Maguire has been really well. I think in terms of our best player, it's hard, isn't it? When you think about it, it's really, really hard. Højlund, I think, would probably be up there.
Yeah.
Wan-Bissaka, I think he's been consistent from the start. I may even put Wan-Bissaka first.
Yeah.
To be honest with you,
because
every game in the Premier League games has been solid as well. So I would put Wan-Bissaka first, probably put Højlund next. This is hard. Onana would probably put third, then Casemiro. Then Maguire's probably just got into there, but then I feel bad leaving Eriksen out. So yeah, that's what I'd go with. But it's tough. It's really, really tough because, like we said,
who's been the worst? The worst 5. The
worst player. Rashford's got to be in there because he's just because of the expectations from last season. I think he has to be in there. Antony's probably first.
Antony's first. 100%. Antony, hands down, first.
In terms of other players,
Rashford,
Bruno's in that category. I think Bruno's been good.
He's been putting a lot of effort in on the pitch. You cannot argue with that.
Throw him in there. I'd probably accept that. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else falls in there. To be honest, Dalot has been. He's been really, really good in some games, but
I think with really Dalot even has to do with fatigue. Because what I mentioned, saw against Copenhagen was he could see players running in behind him, and he knew what to do. Just didn't have the legs to occupy that position. So I could put him in there. I have a controversial one. Varane.
It's going to be the same one. I was going to mention Varane. I don't know what it is. I know I was listening to, I can't remember who it was, so apologies for not mentioning on the show. I was listening to someone the other day and he was chatting about it, why Maguire and Evans are playing in that back line, and they mentioned about passing angles, and I think Johnny Evans is left-footed. He likes that balance. And he likes playing Maguire on the right side as well because he's better at ball progression. He's better at carrying it out, whereas Varane's more just like that kind of solid defender, and that's why he worked with Lissandro, because Lissandro's the ball progressor, left-footed, his balance there. He does not like playing Varane at the right centre-back, so that's why there's been issues. That's why he was questioning it over the Manchester derby, etc. But yeah, when he came on against Copenhagen, you're like, what the fuck are you doing there?
You saw his touch. The ball came in, he chipped the ball up for some reason. Didn't control it and go.
What are you doing? So, yeah, he's out of form. I think that's definitely fair to say. But worst players, Antony, Rashford. Maybe you could throw Varane in there. I think Mount, I really like Mount and I think it'll work. But coming into this team at the moment, the imbalanced midfield, it just, I don't know. But I've seen sparks from him equally similar to Dalot. So, yeah, right, let's see what everyone else is saying, and then we can head off. David Harrington's saying Dalot started very well, but has fallen off the last few weeks. Harry Maguire, Højlund, McTominay, and Bruno for me in no particular order. Højlund, Onana, Maguire, Bruno, Casemiro. Højlund says UTFR. Shazam says Højlund, Wan-Bissaka, Dalot, Eriksen, Onana. So we've seen a lot of similar players in there, to be fair. I'm glad we all agree on it. UTFR says, got to shoot, top show, lad. No problem. I think we're heading off in a minute ourselves. Yeah. Dino says Sancho, Antony, Rashford, Bruno, Mount. I think they're the worst players. Yeah, Sancho, we didn't even fucking mention, did we?
Definitely.
Worst top 5 players, Rashford, Antony, Sancho, Bruno, and Mount. So again, similar players in there. Great minds think alike, guys. Great minds think alike. Yeah, if you can, leave a like on the video for us. We'd really, really appreciate it. Also, make sure you check out the members video if you are a member. If you want to become a member, mention it before. The link is in the description, or just click the join button next to the notification bell. We're trying to get those members up so we can get to that 22 mark, and then we do a live show where we announce where someone comes on. I think it was Brian who came on last time.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. I had a chat with the lads and stuff, and yeah, it's really good. So yeah, exclusive content every week. Badge next to your name and a chance to feature on the show if you want to become a member. Make sure you leave a like on the video for us. Subscribe to the channel. Check the socials out at the bottom if you don't already follow us on Instagram, etc. And thank you, Shreyas, for coming on. I know it's late over in India. It's like, what, 11:30? 12:30?
It's 1 in the morning.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is dedication for you. United fans, take note, mate. I don't know why I'm pointing down on the Discord, on the screen to the right, so I don't know why I'm pointing that way. But that is dedication regardless. I believe you're heading off on a trip now, Shreyas?
Yeah, tomorrow. Not tomorrow now. Today I leave.
Today,
today I leave for a trip.
That last bit of real red
but
spot.
yes, I'll be back by the 22nd. So 23rd, you could be expecting me in here, and hopefully, if there is Wi-Fi on the plane, might try to go live on the plane.
Yeah, and it'll be Myther the staff to subscribe as well as
Yeah.
always.
Oh yes, I can try it.
Yeah, so expect lots of content this week, and there'll be your regular news shows. There'll be some stuff outside Old Trafford. I'm going to aim to get outside there and do some stuff at some point for the members videos as well, and yeah, loads of other things. So stay tuned in. Always subscribe to Real Reds Talk, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care. Have a lovely rest of your day. See you in a bit.
We want Blaze Out, and we want Blaze Out. We want Blaze Out, and we want Blaze Out. We want Blaze Out, and we want Blaze Out.